Yeah.
So we have the countdown here now.
Yeah.
Good afternoon,
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next session.
Yes, thank you, Mark,
And,
earlier for your keynote. And we will just be talking on Fireside Chat on can we stop and reverse climate change through tech. So we have the moderator for the session today, Mr. Richard Rosenholt, the chairman and managing director for Nordic RegTech Association. So he will be moderating the session for today. I'll hand over the mic to you. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Sabrina, and sorry for the overlap there. And thank you, everyone, for attending this follow-up session to your presentation, Mark. It was interesting to listen to you speaking. I don't know if either one of us needs an introduction now that I've received mine and you've had your session. But I'd like to say thank you for the follow-up session here, and for all of you online, wherever you are in the world. Please do pop any questions you have on today's topic or what we will be discussing, me and Mark here, into the chat, and we'll try to address them throughout the session here. So I think. Sorry, Mark. I think we'll just jump straight into it. And, following the presentation you had there, and you had some interesting examples of historical attempts at, you had the GM, you had the classic Kodak moment and all, Kodak moment, actually. But what would you say is the current relationship between the state of the climate and the use of technology?
Okay, so first of all, hello everyone, and particularly honored, Richard, that you host this session. So thank you. The relation, look, it's not an easy subject. Let's face it, because climate and management, climate change is a very, very, very huge subject. But I'm convinced, really convinced that. I'm talking about compliance managers, risk managers, continuity managers. We have really our role to play here. So what the relation is, when we look to the past, at a certain moment, everyone remembers it. It started with the green IT, and so on. So everyone remembers the little stamp that you put on your emails, and the logos of green IT everywhere. So it's good. It's I'm not saying it was a hype, really not. But it's again, look, the fact that we don't need to push this only in the little corner of ICT managers, because it's a lot more. And that's what many times happens with governance, in particularly with reliance, with resilience and continuity management. For instance, even data protection, a bit less, but it goes, it's pushed in the direction of ICT. It's a lot more. It's about governance. So I think the age has come to be more modern and say, look, let's have an holistic approach. Green IT was, it's not that about climate change. It's about being efficient in the entire process of risk management. And in there, you have the ESG and the use of RegTech. So that would be my answer to that. Is in fact to broaden the view and say, look, everything that helps in efficiency also helps the ESG. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you were saying in the beginning there about the logos on the emails and such. But I mean, we all have to start somewhere. Every movement starts with the first step. And and it's a matter on how many steps do you take. Are you putting one foot in front of the other, and doing that, is it actually possible to stop or reverse climate change through technology and risk management?
Now look, stop and reverse, it's there again, it's a huge thing. I compare it, suppose we could by metaphor say reverse the climate change. I compare it to a dripping water tap somewhere in a house. Okay. And reversing the climate change would be, okay, let's save 2000 liters of water. So it's clear that these drops that comes out of the leaking water tap, that's even more than 2000 liters of water per year. So my point is you need to repair it, and the point is you probably change it. There is a need for disruption. When I would look to the from pains to gains using RegTech, so the pain using a manual system like Excel document and unstructured data, etc., I compare it with a dripping water tap. So be disruptive there, change it to something that's more efficient, and also all small economies, things that you do more will directly or indirectly help to this, being just more efficient with things. That is what the RegTech is all about. In the keynote, I said it's not about technology. It's really like a movement, and in this movement, it's just okay. Do things efficiently, so that you can have long-term savings in the company, and also not in money, also environmentally. So that's one thing I would say. Reverse, it's how you do it. Just be more efficient, use the right RegTech, and you will directly and indirectly support ESG. There is a second important thing here, Richard, I would like to mention, is that when risk managers and crisis managers and continuity managers face a crisis, they have a job to do. So they have to put the business online again, etc., etc. Take actions and communications in crisis management, and many times, not all of them, at that moment address environmental issues or climate issues. But that will change. So if we see to the upcoming EU legislation, that will also be UK legislation, and even in other parts of the world, at a certain moment, you will be asked to manage that environmental impact of a crisis. Suppose you have a fire or an explosion on your plants. Okay, you do the crisis management classically, would mean, okay, we move people, we call police and fire brigade, and so on and so on. So operational things, but that will not be enough. You will need to address the environmental impact, and that is, I think, a very good thing in ESG, and that will certainly help. It will not stop the climate change, but every little drop comparing to the dripping water tap helps. So my point is, risk managers, we cannot look away from it. It will come. If you look away from it, it's like, you will not look at I don't know, data protection or GDPR, whatever. At a certain moment, you are faced with the practice of it. So you don't look away from ESG, and that it's really pleads for RegTech, right? So that's my answer on that, Richard.
Yeah, and following what you said here, and from your presentation about looking forward, but in the case of risk management, you obviously, to plan for the future, you have to look at the past. You have to look at what risks are you facing. What known disruptions have happened. When was there a problem? But at the same time, you cannot only plan for historical events. You have to look at the future events. And when you look at the future events, you have to prepare in different ways. What can technology offer us in terms of this? You don't go from having had a burglary to planning for a nuclear disaster. There are incremental steps in that. The water pipe leakage, like you said, you take care of all these small different things that can, maybe if you stop the leaking pipe, there won't be a nuclear disaster at the end of it. So you never know. But I think it's important, just like you said, you prepare for and you take care of the problems that are in front of you, that you're aware of, that you can control, and then you plan for the rest of it. So
yeah, good. I mean, these are all very, very, very valid considerations on which there's a lot to tell. I would say the first of all, talking about the job of the risk manager and the compliance manager and the crisis manager, and so the biggest risk is, is to think you can handle a crisis only based on how you managed the crisis the last time, and assume it will work, because it might just not work, because every crisis is different. It can become complex, it can become long lasting, it can escalate, it can have lots of different things. So for the risk manager, it's a question of having something at hand, a tool that is really lean and adaptive to manage these complex crises, right? The right way is, okay, knowing the past, having the lessons of the past, and in some sectors you can more or less say, look, the lessons of the past are important. Suppose you're an insurance company, you have the statistics. So how many guys from 20 years old had an accident with the car the last 20 years? Based on that, you can really try to manage the risk of your company. But
sorry to cut you. We have 2 more minutes to wrap up the session.
Okay.
So if you could wrap up your speech, would be awesome.
Yeah,
good.
Thank you.
So Mark, what
coming back to my answer on you is the consideration is really to be efficient and don't look away from ESG. And in that, we have that study based on interviews, etc., that gives more than 30 drawbacks in manual systems compared with the RegTech. So there it is. There you have your game creators on all 30 points, in fact.
One final question that I wanted to ask you then. Unfortunately, we won't have time for any questions, but if you boil it down to it, really, how can RegTech help reverse climate change? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So again, here it's I would say there are 2 parts in that. It's how you do it, and all the little drips and drops or things you have by making the efficiency better. And with efficiency, I'm talking the needed computing time. I'm talking about how you get maintenance of your data in risk management, how many times you send loads of paper to the printer. That is one of the things. And then also to integrate it in the risk management of the company by looking and talking about ESG risks. So, and the top layer of it all is to embed it to the top of the company. So, I mean, too many times we see when we do audits, we see top management looking at the sun shining, say there's nothing going on, while at the bottom of the organization, people are struggling with risks. So, and we have learned to say, look, it's not the question of saying to the one or the other, you're not doing your job well, or you're not things. It's the correct way is to embed it and make the lines, the communication line from the top to the bottom. And RegTech helps for this, because RegTech has, has graphism, etc., and things you can use to talk to top management, show reports, etc. So, I mean, the subject is absolutely very interesting, Richard. But unfortunately, we will need to stop. I'm afraid, Sabrina will ask us to stop.
Yeah, just Sabrina, to close it out. I think I think it's very important, like you said, Mark. Tone from the top. If you don't have that, nothing's going to change. But also through technology and RegTech, you can increase the transparency. Like you said, that the top management understands what's going on by the people on the floor being able to highlight what's going on and make it visible, and you can use technology to enhance the data in that. So
correct.
Unfortunately, I think that's
2 of the 30 pains. It's really a real life example. So I would say, of course, invite the audience to our booth and talk to us. We would very glad to do that. And I want to thank the organization and also you, Richard, for this interview here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Richard and Mark. So over to the next session. Thank you guys again. See you soon. Bye-bye.
So thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.